Hello, little Timmies. And today we're going to be talking about one player on every team that will be traded or should be traded by the trade deadline. And I'm going to split this video up into two parts. I'm going to do the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. And this video is the Western Conference. So I'm going to start with the worst team, and that being the Houston Rockets. And the player that I think they should trade by the trade deadline is John Wall, just because they're not even playing him. They want to trade him. And I think it's pretty straightforward. They don't want him anymore. They don't even play him minutes. And it was between him and Christian Wood and Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon, I think, is more tradable than John Wall. And then Christian Wood he's still decently young. That's why I didn't put him on here. And then the OKC Thunder, they're trying to build a young team, but they have Kendrick Williams, who they said they wanted to trade. He's averaging 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists. Pretty decent. They said they just wanted a first-round pick for him. So if they could just get that in return of the trade deadline, I think the Thunder would be happy, because we know the Thunder like first-round picks. And then on the Sacramento Kings, I chose Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is averaging 16.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. He's having a better season compared to his other ones, but Harrison Barnes is just older, so he doesn't really fit on the Sacramento Kings anymore, just because the Sacramento Kings have guys like De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell, so I don't really think he fits here. And the Sacramento Kings, I was also thinking of Buddy Hield, just because they already tried to trade him to like the Lakers last season for Kyle Kuzma, and then Marvin Bagley III, who they picked in the 2018 draft, but has not lived up to expectations. So I think that they should trade at least one of those three guys, but the one I picked that they should trade the most is Harrison Barnes. And then on the San Antonio Spurs, I picked Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young is averaging 6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 2 assists. But the Spurs are a team where they're not really super bad, but they're not really good either. They're in that situation. So I don't think that Thaddeus Young is really contributing that much with his 6 points. I remember when they made the DeMar DeRozan trade, everyone was saying, oh, the Chicago Bulls lost because they had to give up Thaddeus Young, but Thaddeus Young has not been good this year. And he's 33, so I could see if a contender would want him on like a minimum deal. And then on the New Orleans Pelicans, I picked Josh Hart. I see people saying that they should trade Jonas Valanciunas, but I honestly like Jonas Valanciunas on their team next to Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson if he'll ever get healthy. But Josh Hart, 13.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4 assists. He would be a good role player, but they have him in a starting role. So I think they should try to trade him for something better to put in that starting role over him, because he's shooting guard, small forward, power forward. He's been playing all those minutes. So I think they should trade him at the trade deadline to try to get better, hopefully, because hopefully Zion will come back, so then they could try to make a plan push. And then for the Trailblazers, I have Robert Covington. For the Trailblazers, I think that there's a lot of people that could be traded, like Robert Covington, Yusuf Nurkic, Norman Powell, CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard. Because as I've stated previously, I think the Trailblazers just need to go young. But I think the most tradable out of any of those is Robert Covington, just because they could try to get like a pick and maybe like a decent young guy in return. So maybe a contender would want Robert Covington. But yeah, I could see the Trailblazers trading Robert Covington, Yusuf Nurkic maybe. I could see Norman Powell being more tradable than Yusuf Nurkic though. And then CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, I find that very unlikely that they'll be traded. I just think that they need to be traded. So that's why I picked Robert Covington. And then for the Los Angeles Lakers, I have Talen Horton-Tucker. And with Talen Horton-Tucker, He's a young dude, 21, on the Lakers, and he just doesn't fit their timeline. They're trying to compete, and last season they were hyping him up like he had all this value, and even last season he only averaged 9 points a game, and they were saying how he was going to be super good. And this season he's averaging 9.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's basically averaging the same thing that he did last year. So he hasn't really made a big step. He hasn't taken a big step. But I do think that they should try to trade him to a team that's in the middle of a rebuild and then get like a decent role player in return. Because right now they've had him starting games and he's been coming off the bench. He's been playing 25 minutes, and I don't think he should be playing 25 minutes. So I do think that they should trade him because he's like their first or second most valuable player that they have that is actually tradable between him and like Kendrick Nunn. Because all the other guys like Westbrook, you can't trade him. And then AD and LeBron, they're not trading. And then with the Los Angeles Clippers, I picked Terrence Mann just because I could see the Clippers trying to keep him just so that they have like that guy who they kind of built up from the beginning. This is his third season in the NBA. He's averaging 10 points, so 5 rebounds. I do think that he's just a solid role player, but he's young, so you could try to get a veteran who has like experience in the playoffs, but I'm not really sure what the Clippers are going to do. They haven't officially ruled out Paul George for the whole season, so they might be trying to bring him back for the playoffs because currently the Clippers are still in the playoffs, even without Paul George. And they might be trying to wait till the playoffs and then bring back Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. But I'm not really sure if they're trying to keep all the young guys, if they want to go all in, which I think they would want to do just because of Kawhi and Paul George, but yeah. And then next, on the Minnesota Timberwolves, I have Malik Beasley. And Malik Beasley last season averaged 20 points, 4 rebounds. He was playing pretty good. And then everyone was like, oh yeah, Malik Beasley's super good. But then this year, he's averaged 12 points and 3 rebounds, which is a lot more down. He's down in all categories from last season. So I'm not really sure what the whole deal is with him. But the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually doing pretty good this year. They're the 7th seed currently. So I do think that they should try to trade a player like Malik Beasley who's been going down, and then try to trade him for someone else who can help them in the playoffs, because currently they would make the playoffs. And next I have the Denver Nuggets. And on the Denver Nuggets I have Bones Highland, who I did not know who this is. It's a rookie, and he's coming off their bench, averaging 8 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he's been playing pretty decently off the bench. But I could see teams wanting him just as a young asset because he's a rookie and he's playing that good. So I think they could trade him for a decent role player. But the Nuggets are pretty much set. They don't really have anybody that they could trade. I don't really think that they'll make a move. But if they did, I think they would trade Bones. And the Dallas Mavericks, I do think that they're going to trade this person. Dorian Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith is a 3-and-D wing, but he's on the last year of his contract, so I could see them wanting to move him just because he might not re-sign. Another player that is on the last year of his deal is Jalen Brunson, but I could see them re-signing him for a lot more money just because Jalen Brunson's been playing really well. But yeah, I can see them trying to trade Dorian Finney-Smith for someone that will fill the same role as him, but might do that a little bit better and has a contract that's not 1 year. Okay, and then on to the Utah Jazz. For them, they were like the Denver Nuggets, so they didn't really have anyone, but I picked Royce O'Neal. And with Royce O'Neal, he's their starting power forward, and he's averaging 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he's alright, but he's not really a starter. But he's been a starter for the past 3 seasons. But Joe Ingles just went out with an injury. Donovan Mitchell's currently out, but he's day-to-day now, so he's going to come back pretty soon. But with Donovan Mitchell gone and Joe Ingles out, they've been losing a lot of games. So I can see them trying to trade someone like Royce O'Neal to fit Joe Ingles' role for the remainder of the season because Joe Ingles is out for the whole season. So I could see them trying to trade Royce O'Neal for someone like that because they don't really have much else that I could see them trading other than him. Okay. And on to the Memphis Grizzlies. For them, I picked Steven Adams. He's another player who doesn't really fit the Grizzlies' timeline in the sense that they're really young. Steven Adams is also averaging 6 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. And I can see them trying to go for like a younger center and treating him. But, because the Grizzlies, they're a 3 seed right now, but they are really young, so I can see them trying to get someone either young, but I could see them also keeping Steven Adams just because he's a veteran presence, and they don't really have much of that just because they're really young. But on to the Warriors, and the Warriors, I just think that they should trade all of their young guys. So Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Moses Moody, players like that. But the person who I think they should trade the most is Jonathan Kuminga because I think that he has the most value out of the 3. I know James Wiseman has a lot of potential, but he's been injured. So I think they should try to trade at least one of those 3 guys. I think they should trade all of them because they could try to get someone like Miles Turner maybe for James Wiseman. That would be nice. Just to have a better center than Kevon Looney. Because when you're going up in the playoffs against big centers like DeAndre Ayton, or if you do make it to the finals, you have to play one of the East teams like Joel Embiid or Giannis or even Jokic. It will make it a lot harder if you just have Draymond, who's good on defense, but he's small, but then your center is Kevon Looney, which is not good at all. So it'd be nice to have like a Miles Turner player. And then the last team on here is the Phoenix Suns, and with them, they are 41-9 is their current record, so I don't think they need to make any changes. But if they were to trade someone, I think it would be Jalen Smith, because he's a young dude. He was drafted in the lottery 2 seasons ago. He only averaged 2 points. This season, he's averaging 6.5 on 13 minutes a game, which isn't all that good, but he's only 21. So I could see one of the young rebuilding teams wanting to get him. But, that was my Western Conference teams. One player that needed to be traded from there. I also just wanted to bring up that LaMelo Ball is also in the Rising Stars game this year, which will hopefully make it exciting because I normally don't watch the Rising Stars game at the All-Star break. But this year I might watch it because they have LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, players like that. So, thanks for watching, and bye, little Timmies.